I'm not even 40 seconds into this and common sense has already left the building. Resident Evil 0 takes place a day prior to when this game takes place, and in that game the Bravo team went missing at night. Not only does it take the Alpha team a full day to look for the Bravo team, but they also waited until nighttime even though it would have made more sense to look for them earlier in the day. How did you miss all those shots? And if you didn't miss those shots, how is it that the dogs didn't die or at least get injured from any of the rounds that Jill just fired? The dog that charges at Chris only goes down with one shot.
Hey! Brad! Where the hell's he going?
Oh, you know, just being a total dickhead and abandoning his teammates when needed the most. Typical Brad.
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Barry, and myself. We don't know where Chris is.
The fuck you mean you don't know where Chris is? He was literally right with y'all before you entered the mansion. Also, the same can be said about Barry and Chris's campaign. Oh my god, may I just say how much I absolutely hate these door opening transitions. They're really just fake loading screens that serve no purpose other than waste a few seconds of my time. If they were actually loading screens, then it would be over within like 2 seconds at most, given how old this game is and that most of the interiors in these rooms are just pre-rendered anyways. Fixed camera angles. Tank controls. In the opening cutscene, Jill Star's uniform is blue, but once she enters the Spencer mansion, her uniform turns green.
What was that?
I'll go and check it out.
After Chris checks out where the gunshot came from, he finds Kenneth eaten by a zombie, kills the zombie with the knife, then goes back to the main hallway to find nothing but Jill's gun on the floor. Didn't Chris already have a gun in the opening cutscene? He even uses a shot from it to save Jill's life, meaning Chris should already have a gun in his inventory by default. When Chris opens the front door to the Spencer mansion, he finds 3 dogs cornering it, and only one of them charges at Chris.
He seems to have been bitten by a poisonous snake.
How the hell is that even possible when the room that the giant snake is in is behind the locked door that can only be opened with the mansion key that Chris currently has? And Richard got bitten before Chris showed up.
He needs serum. I left it in another room.
I'll go get it.
Chris, Rebecca never told you which room the serum was in. She just said that she left it in another room. If Chris gets bitten during his first encounter with Yawl, you get to play as Rebecca to go fetch him some serum. However, if Jill gets bitten during her first encounter with Yawl, you do not get to play as Barry to go fetch her some serum. Invisible walls. Jill/Chris will not suffer any brain damage from this. Also, after Jill/Chris gets knocked out by Lisa Trevor, how is it that Jill/Chris doesn't wake up at the exact same spot that they were knocked out at?
But it's not necessary to destroy stars.
The person that Barry was talking to on the other side of this door disappears before Jill walks in, and the only way he'd be able to disappear is if he moved the bookshelves and climbed down the ladder, and doing so will result in some type of noise, but Jill didn't hear any type of noise of a bookshelf being moved. In the Jill scenario, Richard gets eaten by Yawl, the same giant snake he was bitten by. In the Chris scenario, Richard gets eaten by Neptune, which is a giant shark. What was the point of trying to save Richard again? So when Jill/Chris runs around the corner to the sound of gunfire, they find Wesker firing a few shots from his pistol. But in a different camera shot, there doesn't seem to be any zombies or any other creatures dead on the floor, meaning Wesker is just shooting at nothing. This happens in both the Jill and Chris scenarios, and neither of them say anything to Wesker about him literally shooting at thin air. Did Yawl just clip through the bookshelf? So after you defeat Yawl, he smashes himself into the bookshelf, and the one book that falls conveniently ends up being the one with the metal inside.
Enrico!
How the hell did Enrico get down here before Chris? That should literally be impossible given the amount of stuff Chris had to do in order to get down here.
Enrico, wait!
Chris, shouldn't you immediately jerk around the corner to see who shot Enrico?
Then I'll go ahead. Until then, Rebecca, you're on your own.
Rebecca was about to get mauled by a hunter before you showed up. Are you sure leaving her alone is a good idea? In fact, why you two keep splitting up? Just stay together. Wesker already being down here before Chris should literally be impossible. Chris had to use the 2 stones and metals to even gain access to the basement of the Spencer mansion. I'm not even going to question the logic of Wesker getting knocked off the edge by Lisa Trevor and still reappearing later like nothing happened. I'm just going to ask and move on. Remember how I pointed out the fact that it would be impossible for Wesker to be down here before Chris? The same goes for Barry being down here before Jill in her scenario. If Lisa Trevor is that strong, then Jill/Chris should have died immediately when Lisa Trevor knocked him out.
Jill!
Barry!
You could have at least waited up for me, you know?
My guy, she heard you talking to a mysterious voice about destroying stars. An unknown person shot Enrico right in front of Jill after Enrico spilled important information about stars being set up. And on top of that, you abandoned her in the underground mining cave, and later when she confronted you, you attempted to point a gun in her face. You should be lucky she still kinda trusts you.
Wesker.
Yo, Chris, remember when Lisa Trevor knocked Wesker off the edge earlier? Are you not at least confused as to how he's still alive?
Rebecca!
I'm guessing the writers only had Wesker shoot Rebecca for shock value, completely overlooking the fact that it makes no sense for Wesker to do something like that because Wesker has a crush on Rebecca. Hell, in Resident Evil 2, you can even find a roll of film on Wesker's desk that you can develop into a picture of Rebecca in her gym clothes, meaning Wesker just shot his 18-year-old waifu for no reason.
Wesker, you're pathetic.
I agree, Jill. I don't see what's so all that about Albert Wesker. He's really just an overall bland villain. So Lisa Trevor knocking Wesker off the edge gets pushed aside like some B-list celebrity, but him getting impaled by the tyrant's what kills him.
You viral cultured freak!
Jill Valentine's a beast, and I love it.
Wesker.
He's gone.
How the hell is that even possible? The only way for Wesker to make it out of this room is if he head out the same way Jill and Barry came in, and now it's fighting the tyrant in that exact area in front of the door. The game having a person you don't play as locked in the cell in the underground laboratory the entire game makes zero sense and can be undermined in a lot of different ways. Starting with the Jill scenario, Chris doesn't even make it inside the mansion. He quite literally disappears after the opening cutscene, and Wesker was with both Jill and Barry when they entered the mansion. So what the hell happened to Chris and how did he end up down here? Now, going into the Chris scenario, it makes slightly more sense. However, it doesn't explain how Wesker was able to get Jill to the cell in the underground laboratory. Wesker would have had to have dragged Jill through the mansion, the garden area, the underground mining cave, and the underground laboratory just to be able to get her into that prison cell. By the way, what is the point of Wesker locking Jill/Chris in a prison cell anyway? Jill survives that. Shooting a rocket launcher at the tyrant while holding Rebecca would normally result in killing the both of them, and Jill was laying on the floor right next to them, so she would have died too. Flying off into the sunrise cliche.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.